So I was making some money doing TikToks and YouTube and Facebook stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I was doing all that stuff, brand deals, whatever the case may be. And I kind of got my claim to fame as like, doing the Vine videos back in the day, and a couple of buddies of mine kind of took off, and so I kind of did the corporate world thinking that that was safe,
Yeah.
and I had a tragedy happen about almost a year and a half ago. And I was coming back from the funeral, and it just hit me like I got a wife and 6 kids. And I was like, man, if something were to happen to me like that, like all this YouTube money goes away. All the TikTok money goes away. The Facebook money goes away.
Right.
I was like, I got to do something else. And I always wanted to do, I just didn't, I don't understand the stock market. I don't understand crypto. Like I got some buddies that were doing all that stuff. I just don't understand it. I was like, if something were to happen to me, my wife can go collect quarters at a boring business somewhere. And so I just started like fanatically. I did a 60-mile circle, like a 60-mile circle around my house. And if you were in the car wash, laundromat, storage unit, and Section 8 housing, like garbage houses, I was calling you. Like, and I just did it nonstop. And so I finally got this one, person on the phone, and he met me at this garbage, middle of nowhere car wash.
Right.
And I'm like, we're probably a town of 1,400 people. And I'm sitting here, and it's like this car wash doesn't work. There's a homeless dude sleeping on the side of it. And, and I was just like, man, what am I doing? But like, at least I'm talking to somebody.
Hey, that's what I told him. I said, it's a numbers game. It's all a numbers game.
Yeah.
You'll get no's, but you'll get a yes.
And so he was like, I said, man, I just asked him what he was trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask him what the price was. I didn't ask him, I just said, what are you trying to solve by meeting me out here?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently that's what the key was. He was like, honestly, man, I'm just tired of this. I'm almost 70. I don't want to do this anymore. Right. I just don't care. And I was like, okay. I mean, and I was just straight with him. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that I'm a problem solver. So what problem do you want me to solve with this? Because at my mind, I was thinking, okay, I could just work for this dude, learn how to do it. He'll teach me how to do it. And then maybe in a couple of years or so, I'll get my own.
Right.
He's like, honestly, man, if you could just take over my payments, I'll be good. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay. So I called my wife. I said, man, I was driving home. I was like, hey, have you heard of this little tiny town, middle of nowhere? And I was like, and I figured out what the payments were, how much he owed. And I was like, there was no point of extending it that long. And I called him back and I said, hey, and I had this friend of mine write up a contract because I didn't know what I was doing, real estate stuff.
You didn't know about a contract for deed or nothing yet.
Yeah, I didn't know anything. And so she sends me over the contract that he signs. And I was like, her name is Tammy, awesome lady. I go, Tammy, there's 2 properties on this contract. And so I called him. I said, hey, look, I understand we worked out a deal and it's a fantastic deal, but I don't want to take advantage of you. Did you mean to put 2 properties? He said, you've been an honest guy. That price that you gave me to pay off the notice for both of them. So that's how I got the first 2 back to back.
Awesome.
And so
2 in 1.
Like once that happened, it like unlocked this cheat code I felt, because now every time I see a garbage car wash, I just see nothing but like awesome. I created like this entire year and a half that I've been doing this. In the self-serve world, you'll learn, I don't know if people on here will learn that they don't realize there's so much money to be made in self-serve. I didn't know this, by the way. My plan was to flip it, be done, because it was so garbage, but I started fixing it.
Right.
And my first weekend that it was open, it made like $1,800. And I was like, in a town of 1,500 people.
Yes, I live in a
like,
small town too. Self-serve's not going anywhere. Yeah. So, what's your plans going forward? Were you able to get those 2 car washes that you had? You got 4 now
yeah.
total, or what do you have going on?
So I got 6 now total that I have
Oh,
personally.
6.
Yeah. So
Holy
6.
crap. Neat. Yeah. So like you've pretty much, he's jumped into these businesses and he got 2 in one try, and then all of a sudden just have
Yeah.
reached out to all these other opportunities, and now he's got 6 and he's doing all these different loopholes in real estate investing and everything.
I know.
That's awesome. So how long ago was it you bought your first business and now you're up to 6, and how long?
Year and a half.
So
yeah, it was a year and a half. So
your first one a year and a half ago?
Yeah, I looked that up. It was actually January of 2022, but it was like once the levee broke, it was like just more and more. Like I was going around and putting letters under doors.
Yeah.
I was looking up owners through like the yellow pages or the white pages, whatever. Then I found out there's like different companies that can help me do it, like Batch Leads or whatever.
Right.
Like just everything possible. But I started before I did any of that. I didn't want to spend any money, so I just would put letters under the doors, and that was my first lead, was the letters.
Yeah, handwritten letters. That's what I was telling them earlier.
Yeah, so I wrote out the letters. You gotta handwrite them because I typed out some and I got nowhere with them.
Yeah. I know. That's what I told them. You guys got to be strategic. You got to handwrite them. It's going to look like a scam or something if you put like a typed out letter or whatever.
Yeah, that was it.
Jab said, "What's the biggest challenge once you land a business? What was your biggest challenge?"
Land a business. I would say, the biggest challenge for me was to unhear all the nonsense about everyone has opinions on being a business owner that and they don't own a business.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like what I had to do when I first got the business, because I heard everything, thank goodness my wife is my best friend. So like she was the only one that supported me, right? But like, I mean, my own family was like, why would you even do that? Like, so that was the biggest thing, was to realize that the perception of things were too hard.
Yes.
It's just a lie. Like, if people would realize how easy something really was and everyone is faking it anyways, like the same thought process of like, oh, how do you get into a business? And they're like, oh, it's so challenging to. And now that I've done it, I'm like, gosh darn it, it was so easy. Well, correction, it was simple, not easy.
Right.
And so that was the biggest thing.
That's what I told them too. I said, once you guys get your foot in the door with the first one, it's going to make like your second one easier, your third one easier to get, your fourth one easier to get. Like once you do it, you get that first one. That's the hardest part.
And by the way, now that I have car washes, now people look at me and say, oh, you make it look so easy. But I'm like, a year and a half ago, y'all was laughing,
Exactly.
Those same family members want my advice. So like, use the advice that I would say. And really, it's a percentage game. So like for me, once you realize what it tastes like to make $1 while you're asleep, everything changes. It's just
facts.
And you can't know what it is until you've done it. For example, I remember when my first child got here back in 2008. And everyone told me to be prepared and this and this and that. But I didn't know until the second she came. And so, for example, if you really wanted to do it, and if you're real serious, go to these restaurants, go to a laundromat, talk to them and say, hey, I'm in the gumball machine business, and go spend $45 on a gumball machine and about $50 on some candy, little, M&Ms and stuff, and just know what it feels like to take out 25 cents that you didn't have to work for.
Yeah.
Everything changes. Once someone can just make $1 without you physically having to clock in, it's a game changer.
Yeah, like me and Mark are right here on this call on this training with you guys. It's like 10 p.m. Eastern right now. there could be 2 or 3 people down at the car wash right now, either one of our car washes, and we're sitting here making money because these people are using our businesses, talking with you guys. That's why it's so important, to get these specific business models. I mean, they're gold mines. So Julie said, what about in the winter months? How is that going to bring in income? So for me personally, I don't know about you, but I'm still profitable in the wintertime. It just doesn't do as good as the summer months for me. So I make more in the summer, but the wintertime I still profit. Like I'm not losing money. So I don't know what you do.
Yeah. So I'm in Texas, and so the winter months are very small. Most of the time they'll they still got to spray off the tires and stuff for snow or whatever when it does snow here, because we don't take care of snow very well here in Texas. We don't use salt. It's like that. We use sand. And so when it gets snowy, nobody will be here, but like the next day it'll be slammed. And so I would say like springtime and fall is like crazy busy, but we still, like, the good rule of thumb is no matter what is to expect the average bay amount. I would look at a bay as a product, each bay is a product. So I have 3 bays at a different location, 6 bays at another one, 5 bays at another one, right? Each bay should bring in $1,000 profit per month.
Love it.
And so that's the average I go. Now, if it's more, great, put it away, buy another machine, invest into the business. Try to make sure that every square foot of your car wash has a potential of making money. So if you don't have vending, buy a vending machine. If you don't have, I don't know, I'm about to put an air machine to air up tires here, a quarter machine to do the tires.
Love it.
And so like those are the things that I would, that's how you look at that. But yes, the winter months is, but at the same time that it's a mind shift, because you assume something that you don't really know. Like people still, it'll be raining outside and I'm thinking, okay, this is my work day to go outside and do stuff, and people will be in the base.
They'll show up.
I don't understand.
I don't either, but same thing with me. They're crazy. I'm like, but I'll take your money, whatever,
Yes, and I help them. Like I'm like, hey guys, hey, everything all right? Like,
yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I just installed new vacuums. So here's the crazy thing. So I installed new vacuums. Where we at? Vacuum.
Oh, you're there. Nice. You're actually at your car wash.
I'm at the car wash now. So here's the new vacuums right there. And I was charging 25 cents for the old vacuums. And so I was charging 25 cents, and then I kept on having to replace them and do things. So I was like, I'm going to bite the bullet. I spent $1,300 and got 2 brand new vacuums, one there and one there. And in almost 4 weeks, I've already paid off one of those vacuums.
Awesome.
Like it's crazy. Like normally I was only averaging like maybe 500 a month, maybe, right? But like we were doing 400 in a weekend.
Yeah.
And it's just about the value. It's like if you because the car wash business, they're not loyal to a brand, they're loyal to the perception of it's going to work. That's what they're loyal to. So if you have the correct product that works all the time, that when they pull the trigger, the handle's going to move. When the vacuum's on, it's going to suck out better than anybody else around. There are people that go to my vacuums when there's free vacuums 8 miles down the road.
Engines. I showed you guys to go slide notes under the door, and I showed you guys how to do cold calls. So do all 3 of those and go hard at it. Take action. And, theoretically, if you were to do all that and, you guys can do it. Like, I don't recommend buying one more than 2 hours away, but you guys can go more or less or whatever. So,
I agree, by the way.
So, yeah, if you guys, go hard, it's all just a numbers game. So the more no's you get out of the way, the more faster you'll get to the yeses. Yeah, so that's why I told you guys, you got to be strategic. Like when you're sliding notes under the door, do it handwritten, and don't put your whole life story on the note. Just say, hey, I'm interested in buying. Give me a shout if you're interested. Or Mark may have what he put on his.
You have an awesome. I said I always put, I love your car wash. Awesome location. I'll say I'll do like one awesome or something like that. If it's not working, I say, man, this is a fantastic location. This car wash, I bet in its heyday was blank or something like
Yeah.
that. And I would just ask, hey, what's your plans for the car wash? I'd love to know. Please call. That's what I would ask.
That's good. You got to be strategic about it. You got to do it handwritten, and then you know, you can apply the same thing for cold calling as well. You know, don't like what I tell them, Mark, is I tell them to, if they're doing cold calls and they find 300 businesses to cold call within an hour radius or whatever, I say you're calling them and you're asking them if they would be interested in selling if they were to get a price they wanted out of it. And then, you know, I don't tell them to talk numbers or anything on the phone. I say schedule a tour, you know, take a tour of the business and have that face-to-face interaction, and actually make sure like you set foot on the property and make sure that you're actually seeing it instead of trying to make a deal happen over the phone. You don't even know if it's a business you want to buy. It could be in the middle of nowhere or whatever. It doesn't make any money. Roofs falling in. So, you know, actually set foot and lay eyes on what you're buying.
All I'm asking when I get someone on the phone, once I've confirmed that they're the car wash owner,
right, which is hard.
I just say, man, I thank you so much. I wasn't expecting the owner to talk to me, so I'm a little flabbergasted. I would say something like that because it's, you know, they'll laugh about it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but that's also my personality, by the way. And then I will say, without fail, hey, do you know anyone that might be selling a car wash or interested? Because I'm very interested in learning and doing it, and I'm local. And I was wanting to know if you can maybe give me a referral to somebody who's selling. And what happens is that now their guard of you're just trying to sell them crap over the phone goes away. And it's like, actually, you know, Joe Schmo down at blah, blah, blah might be saying, you know what, why are you interested? Do you buy car washes? And I go, possibly. Here's the thing. I'm local. I'm less than an hour away. And I'm more of a name with a face kind of person.
Yes.
And like, what do you think? And they're like, oh, me too. And then you literally go, well, why don't we do this? Why don't I make some time to go see you? And then by that time, can you come up with a couple of names of people that might be interested? And what'll typically happen is they don't come up with names. It's their name that they're interested in.
Love it. So you do some reverse psychology to them.
That. That's what I do.
There you guys go. Now you guys have even more of a strategy.
I have a 60-day delegation period, but I'm about maybe 90 days away from buying 2 laundromats with no money.
Awesome. No money. That's great.
So next time I come on, I'll show y'all how I did that.
Yeah. So you'll have 8 streams, 8 different streams.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it. That's all I have. I appreciate y'all.